different examples. Okay, so I have two different research showing examples here. The first one is talking about comparing the people with low back pain and the people with a healthy back.
好，那第一个出现的这个文献证据是写说 ，OK， 你的有一个健康的下背的状况，跟有一个下背痛的人的状况来做一个比较。
So this study is showing that there's no difference between those two groups for muscle strength, but the difference is the activation sequence. Okay, the people with healthy back, they have a very good activation from inside out, meaning that you have a very good core activation first to be able to move the arm or move the leg.
好，那在这个研究指出呢，你的健康的人跟有下背痛的人的核心的肌力部分，他们两个是差不多的。那差别在哪里呢？差别在它肌肉招募的顺序，它会从如果是一个健康背部的人的状况，它会从里到外来做一个顺序的诱发，也就是说，它会从你的近端到远端到四肢来做发力的部分。
And then the people with the low back pain usually have not very good sequence from inside to out, okay? Meaning that their activation of the core is probably delayed, and then other muscles is going to start to activate first, okay? So those things is the key point that the people have low back pain.
好，如果有下背痛的状况呢，那通常的状况是这样子，它的招募顺序不对，它通常会从远端招募到近端，也就是说它在发力的时候，它会先从它的四肢在做发力，然后它的核心、它的肌肉、它的启动是比较延迟的，所以这是会造成它下背痛的原因之一。
And then the second study is showing the same thing, people with low back pain, people with a healthy back, they showed muscle strength difference, but not to talk about the core muscle in the abdominal area. It's talking about the glutes muscle, okay? So the people with a healthy back tend to have a very good glutes muscle strength, okay? From abductors to extensor muscle. So the big glutes muscle actually stronger for the healthy back individuals.
好，那第二份研究指出呢，你有一个健康的下背跟有下背痛的状况，这次比较的部分是在于它的臀部肌肉的部分，它就比较说你的臀大肌啊，那臀中肌、臀小肌的部分跟你的髋的内外旋的肌肉的强壮程度来做一个比较。
So I think that this is a very interesting point. So let's say this can be athletes or general population, people who have a low back pain. Usually they're told that, oh, you have to strengthen the muscle. Okay? You have to do crunches. You have to have a good abdominal muscle. Based on this kind of research, it's shown that there's no relationship. Okay? So just by strengthening the core muscle doesn't mean much to prevent the low back pain.
好，那这个地方有趣的事情是，我们可以看到很多的不管是一般民众啊，或是我们的运动员啊等等之类的，他们会练很多的卷腹或者仰卧起坐等等之类的，来去强调说他的腹部的肌力等等之类的。但是在这个文献里面指出的情况是，那重点不是他的肌力，而是他去如何启动他的肌肉，才是去防止有这些疼痛状况的一个优先的情形。
So based on this type of research, it's showing that you have to train not only talking about here to prevent the low back pain, you have to work on your posterior chain. You have to work on the glutes to stabilize so your pelvic stay in one place, right? So it doesn't have that instability from the pelvis to cause low back pain.
OK， 所以在训练的时候呢，并不是只有训练腹部，那还包括你的后侧链的位置，也就是说，要让你的臀部的肌力啊等等之类的，让你的骨盆是呈现在稳定的状况，而不会做一个不稳定的情形，然后来产生下背痛。
Okay, so let's go to the next slide, talking about not all about how strong. Okay, we're talking more about the neuromuscular control, the activation order. Okay, it has to come from the core to activate. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be strong, but it has to have a very good order to activate those muscles.
好，所以并不是全部的重点都在说强壮这件事情，而是说你要有好的神经肌肉的控制，有好的肌肉的启动的顺序，然后来让它是达到它要的强壮，而不单单只是肌肉的强度。重点在于神经肌肉的控制跟你的启动顺序的部分。
So in my mind, when I think about this, instead of training, like instead of choosing exercise to focus on here or focusing on the glutes or focusing on oblique, like instead of thinking that way, it's more the sequence pattern from the lower body to upper body, proximal to distal, something like that. More sequential exercise is more beneficial in order to prevent the lower back pain.
好，所以包括这个核心肌群，包括你的腹部啊，或是你的这个腹斜肌啊，甚至你臀部的部分，它都是将是训练的重点。因为重点不将是你只是把它练得很强壮、很有形状，或是可以举起很大的重量而已。重点是在于它的启动顺序。只要启动顺序正确呢，那相信这样可以避免你很多的下背痛的状况。重点在于启动的顺序。
Okay, so let's go to the next slide because this is the part that a lot of people ask me. Okay, so how do we know? How do we know if I have higher risk of low back pain, or how do I know that people have a weak core or strong core? So I kind of put the 3 different ways to do the assessment.
好，那我们在这些下背或者说我们核心肌力的部分，我们要如何去做评估呢？要如何知道说核心的肌力是弱还是强的部分呢？我们这边就有几个评估的方法。
And then I think people who have attended my course have seen those kind of assessment before, but I like doing a lot of static, stationary, static, isometric testing. And then I also like a little bit of dynamic testing, so both have a static and then dynamic pattern.
好，那在做测试的时候，一旦来到这个课程呢，我们会先做一个是我们会做静态，也就是等长肌力的测试。那除了等长肌力的测试之外呢，我们会做动态肌力的测试。所以在于等长跟动态的部分呢，我们都会做一个测试。
So another part that I really like to do is I mentioned a little bit about the glute activation, right? The stronger glutes to support the pelvis. So I like doing the single leg type of assessment too. So single leg and then make sure you can balance yourself.
好，那接下来呢，我们会测试说你的臀部的强度在哪里。臀部的强度呢，就攸关你的骨盆的稳定的程度。那所以我们会做一些单腿的测试啊，等等之类的。
And there's a good and bad about using an FMS, but the FMS is to assess the pattern. So for that reason, I'm okay of using an FMS to see the pattern. If the people who have a poor pattern, of course that might lead to higher risk of injury. So in order to see the pattern of the movement, activation of the certain muscle, I like the FMS approach as well.
好，那在 FMS 的部分哦，那博士看的重点将会是说它的动作模式。那我们透过这个动作模式的展现，它如何去完成它的动作，那他会去了解说它哪些肌肉是需要启动的，或是它哪些肌肉是没有做事情的。那这是在 FMS 使用的时候，博士喜欢用的是在于它的动作模式的部分。
So the one thing I don't like about the FMS is because people can learn to do it well over time. Okay, so there's a learning effect. So yeah, if you do it too often and then your patient, your client learn how to do well, you look like, oh, this person is getting better. That means it's a lower risk of injury. I don't think that is the case. So I'm using FMS just to check the pattern. I don't use it as a monitoring the person.
好，那在 FMS 使用上呢，博士认为说，它这个部分它有一个小地方他不太喜欢，就是说我们的客户或病人他会去学习 FMS 的动作的模式，他学起来之后呢，他就会是变成说他只是在学这个动作，而不是真的解决他实际上的状况。 所以这时候呢，博士会看的东西呢，它就仅仅限于它的动作模式而已，它并不会把它当做一个监控的系统、监控的方式。
Okay.